Good to see you all. Awesome. I'm going to get right into sort of like the dharma discussion because I want to spend a lot of time today working on our breath exercises. Really quickly, what we've sort of gone through in terms of like breathing techniques are bellows breath, so hyperventilation, big inhales, big exhales. It makes us very dizzy and woozy because we collect all of this oxygen and funnel blood out of our skulls and into our bodies. And then kumbhaka, breath retention, right? So different variations of intensity, but pretty much we inhale, hold our breath, exhale, hold our breath. And that collects a lot of CO2 and funnels blood into our skulls. And then the last technique we've been discussing is breath of fire. So very rhythmic, fast-paced, expiratory technique. And really what this does more than changing the gas chemistry is it works all the muscles involved in respiration. And so it's almost like this physical strength training. So we're going to get into all three of those techniques, hopefully around 2 times today, and give you a sense of what a dynamic breath pranayama exercise would feel like. But before that, just creating context. Meditation is deeply about the mind and deeply about the philosophies and ideas we attach to reality. And as we learn to divinize and expand these ideas, sort of push them into cosmological spaces, our relationship with very ordinary experiences and very personal experiences starts to change. We associate it to more meaningful or more expansive thoughts. So what I wanted to share first is sort of pulling physics, Western physics, into the conversation of breathwork. Energy, right? Energy to Einstein is mass times acceleration squared. And so breathwork is all about creating energy in our lives so that we are awake enough and alive enough to live a life and create a life without the thorn of suffering. And what the yogis believe is that the suffering we impose onto ourselves and the suffering we project out into the world, all of that is really the consequence or the symptomology of low energy, physical energy. And if we just create enough energy within ourselves, and that might be diet, that might be sort of our relationships, it might be our jobs, it might be our actual environment, the cities or the towns that we live in. You know, everything contributes to the abundance or the lack of energy that we have as physical organisms. But the more energy we have, the easier it is to make the correct choice. And so I've been harping on this concept of the correct choice, which is Shreya in Sanskrit. And hopefully it's been echoing out into your life in some capacity. And more importantly, the understanding that making the right choice, you know, second to second to second to second is actually very difficult. And we can see why it would... The person that can make the powerful choice day in, day out, second to second to second, would be a remarkable person. But it all hinges on our energy levels. And so energy is mass times acceleration squared. And so what that means is when we're doing this breath work, right, pranayama, and we're trying to collect this energy, we are trying to move, we're trying to accelerate the mass of our abdomen, of our transverse and rectus abdominis, and our diaphragm. These tissues hold mass. And more importantly, the mass of our breath, the gas that we're pulling into our lungs and pushing out of our lungs also has mass. So the more quickly we can do that, the more energy we are creating for ourselves in relationship to Einstein's definition of energy. And so now there's some nuances I'd like to get into, just sort of like a really basic idea of energy in physics. So work is the transfer of energy. And so if I have an object and another object is accelerating and hits this object, you can think about a car accident, a little fender bender. The car that's impacted moves a little because energy is transferred. And so the first car that impacts the second car has done work to the second car. And so when we're doing our breath exercise and we're pumping our diaphragms, we are working, we're creating energy, we're transferring energy from our cells into our gross tissues, and then into our nerves, and then into our minds. We are doing work on our physical organism. And that work, like a car accident, it's sort of transferring its energy through the koshas, right? So the physical organism, the first layer of our being, is being pumped and energized. And then our nervous system, right? The second dimension of our being is energized. And then our minds are energized. When the mind is energized, like a kid riding a bicycle and learning to sort of pedal very hard, the bicycle stabilizes. And so our mind comes together and organizes into more intense focus. And so that's the third dimension. And as we do more and more breath work, our our intuitive body starts to turn on, and so we start to get these beautiful insights and sort of epiphanies of life and our being and our relationships. And if we keep applying work to our organism and these five sheaths that we've been discussing, we will eventually impact Anandamaya Kosha and experience the bliss that is fabled to be at the finish line of our practice, whether that is sort of a single practice or practice in the sense of a lifetime of meditation. So I hope that sort of makes sense in some schematic way. So energy is the ability to do work. So the more you can accelerate your breath through these exercises suggests that you have more energy. And the last little detail is power. And so prana can be sort of redefined as power. Power is work, right? The ability to transfer energy into another object over time. And so that means the faster you perform these techniques, the faster you pull air into your lungs and push air out of your lungs, the faster you pump your diaphragm and accelerate your tissues, the more power you are creating for yourself. And so this is just sort of a conversation to guide you into a more powerful sort of relationship with these exercises. Cool. And so the last thing I wanted to discuss was this difference between struggling and suffering. And so what I think, and I've just been thinking about this in terms of life and the human condition, is that the majority of people, because they are deprived of energy, whether it's through their own doing or from sort of the impact of environment, they would prefer to suffer over struggle. And suffer means that they lay dormant and inert within the experience of their life, and sort of like waves crashing upon the shore, life is allowed or permitted to sort of smash into us, and it sort of breaks us down and erodes our confidence, takes our power away. And this is the idea of suffering. We don't impose work, we don't impose our power, and we don't impose energy into ourselves, into our intentions, and out into the world. Struggling is different. It's still an experience of effort, it's still an experience of burden, but we are imposing that energy out into our circumstance and working either to create order, right? We're trying to create our intentions into life, or we're trying to impose chaos. We're trying to dismantle the tyranny of a routine that is too rigid, or a relationship that is stifling, or a mentality that is no longer of service. And so if you're really working to change a circumstance, it's not necessarily you're trying to impose order, but you might actually be trying to impose chaos. You're trying to break some things apart to create something new for yourself. But that is suffering, and suffering involves sort of like the output of energy. And I just want you to consider that while performing your techniques today. Suffer or struggle instead of suffer. Impose sort of willpower into yourself. Do work, move your body, move the mass of air inside your lungs. Work with power, do it as quickly and as proficiently as possible. And in that, sort of collide with all of these koshas, these layers of the human being, so that you can, Friday morning, first thing when you wake up, so you can touch Anandamaya Kosha and sort of have that be the center point of your day, or at least of your morning. Awesome. So let's get into this now. Comfortable seated position. Build your pose. Fall into your stillness. Slow down your breath at first. And then push back your thought process so that you can feel. And so if you're taking the time and you're making this personal commitment to meditate first thing in the morning, breath work first thing in the morning, you're the sort of person that already understands the value of discomfort, the value of self-restraint, and in some abstract and also personal way, the value of imposing sufferings, imposing stress upon your being. And if we look out into at least our culture, and we take this bird's eye view, what we'll find is the exact opposite. That most people live their life to experience pleasure. Most people, whether it is biologically inspired or culturally inspired, look for the easy path. Who's to say what's right or wrong? But what matters is what resonates with your being. And more specifically, within this chapter of your life. And so take a second to identify with this archetype, a kshatriya, something like a warrior. I understand that steel sharpens steel, that stress makes me better. And so now boost your posture. What I'd like you to focus in terms of your posture today is your foundation. Feel the cross of your legs if you're sitting down on the floor, or the flats of your feet on the ground if you're sitting in a chair or on a couch. If you're seated on the floor, tighten the cross of your legs and feel your leg muscles tighten, contract. And you have more control over the hips. Tilt the hips further forward and feel this provoked buoyancy in the torso. It's all coming from the cross, specifically the tightening of the cross of your legs. And if you're sitting in a chair or on the couch, pull your legs in towards one another. They're not going to move like two magnets. Think about the ankles, the knees, and the entire inner thigh drawing in. And again, the leg muscles activate. It creates stability and rigidity in the tissues, and from there the spine elevates away from the abdomen, floating off of the hips. And so take a few breaths, deep inhales, deep exhales, and commit to this specific intention. For the duration of my meditation this morning, my legs will remain active to create buoyancy and length in my torso. Bring a random finger to each thumb if it hasn't been done yet. Flex your triceps, the back of your upper arms, and then insert the shoulders into their sockets. And feel that the arms stabilize the torso even more. Now, as you inhale and exhale, breathe deeply and accelerate your breaths in and out, just enough to feel that you are accelerating your breath. And I'd like you to think about mass, the mass of your diaphragm, the mass of your abdomen, the mass of the air you're pulling in, and the mass of the breath you're pushing out. And so your ability to pull the breath in and push the breath out, your ability to contract the abdomen as it opens towards your hips, and then contract the abdomen and deflate it up into the chest, all of that is work. You are moving mass. And in that, you are transferring energy from within your cells and muscular tissue into your nerves and then into the mind. So notice as you breathe in and out with accelerated force, you wake up. Now, a little detail here. Every time you exhale, feel that your posture becomes more pronounced. Every time you exhale, the belly draws in towards the spine, the diaphragm contracts up towards the chest and heart, and your spine grows taller, your seat more stable. And so this nuance reflects the mentality of a meditator. I choose self-restraint. I choose control. I choose posture. And I choose power. Where naturally as we exhale, we slump, we release, we take the easy path and the more pleasurable path. And so now this exhale, breathed in this way, becomes a ritual, a murti, an image of Shreya, of the better choice. Okay, this is what we're going to do. 7 minutes of kumbhaka. Kumbhaka means vessel. So you're going to inhale, hold your breath, exhale, hold your breath. I'll give you two options. Moderate intensity. Count your inhale. See how long it takes naturally. Hold your breath for that same length of time. Exhale for that same length of time. Hold your breath for that same length of time. So inhale for 5, hold for 5, exhale for 5, hold for 5. Moderate intensity. The other option is maximum intensity. Inhale as slowly as you possibly can. Hold your breath for as long as you possibly can. Exhale as slowly as you possibly can. And again, hold your breath for as long as possible. If you are going for the full intensity, the signs of success are sweating, trembling through the fingers, hands, and arms, and then levitation. Levitation means you enter this flow state because of the intensity of your work, that the mind separates from the body, and it feels like the body is just breathing the technique on its own. Sweating, trembling, levitation. 7 minutes starts now. Tighten the cross of your legs. And in that, lengthen the spine while performing your technique. Keep the mudras intact. Keep the back of the upper arms tightened. Again, to brace the torso. Every segment of this technique comes with a moment of bliss, a moment of rest, a moment of euphoria. When you exhale after holding your breath, lungs full, the relief of breathing out the CO2 that's built up feels good. Enjoy that. Notice how fear builds as suffocation increases. Notice how anxiety, hesitation, and doubt emerge as the body becomes more acidic, as the CO2 levels grow. And so that hesitation, that doubt, that fear, all of that is the mind. You're working to get past the mind, and the proof that you've moved past it is that its impulses no longer affect you. And in that, you can hold your breath for a millimeter, or a second, or 2 seconds longer than the mind itself wants to. The Tibetans' concept of meditation is gom. It is the study of the mind. The goal is just understanding the features and landscapes of the psyche. Notice that there is fear, there is anxiety, and your willingness to confess to that is satya, truthfulness. But more subtle than that fear and that anxiety is an alertness and a wakefulness. This is the potential of stress. This is the opportunity of the sympathetic nervous system, which you're triggering intentionally by holding your breath in this way. And so you have the panic and you have the wakefulness. Where is that wakefulness, that mental energy coming from? The more CO2 you're willing to collect, the more you're willing to suffocate through this technique. Oxygen reserves within the blood are being pumped out of the blood and into the tissues. It's cellular work. Oxygen molecules are being transferred out of one cell and into another. Tighten the cross of your legs. You have 1 more minute. Tilt the hips further forward and provoke. Force the spine to lift taller. I'd like you to repeat in your mind, atha, A-T-H-A, atha, 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 which means now. Connect to this moment, but specifically the center line of your body. As you hold your breath, the body spasms, the diaphragm pulsates, muscles seem to tighten and contract around the rib cage as if they were forcing your lungs to breathe. The more centered the mind is, the less dramatic this physiological response. Feel the tingling and buzzing. And consider victory holding your breath for 1 millisecond. 1 full second longer than you want to. That's it. All right, wherever you are, take a full breath in through the nose, nice and calm. Slow exhale through the nose. Now enjoy the tingling sensations in the body. Follow the breath as you inhale, move down your center line. And follow the breath as you exhale, move up your center line. Like a stone being thrown over a lake. As you inhale, you can feel these different center points of rippling sensation. Relax the body, slow it all down. All right, we're going to get into bellows breath. Just 1 minute here. First round through the nose, second round through the mouth. Start to accelerate the inhale and exhale, only about 20 to 30%, so not much, but you can feel the speed move through your tissues. Now remember, every time you exhale, the spine stays tall. Deepen the cross of your legs. Try to relax your face. And so work is the transfer of energy. Energy is mass times acceleration squared. And so the more you can move your body, the more air you can pull in, the more breath you can push out, the more work you are doing. And that energy is transferring from the physical body into the cells, into the mind. The mind will become more narrow and single-pointed. Eventually into the intuitive layer, you'll start to tap into epiphanies and understandings and elusive conclusions, and fundamentally into bliss or ananda. This is the fable. Now, power is pulling in the same amount of air, pushing out the same amount of breath in less time. Alrighty, full intensity starts now. Full breath in, full breath out. Fall into a rhythm. Through the nose right now. Now every time you exhale, only exhale halfway. Inhale all the way, feel the belly swell, but as you exhale, only feel the top half of your lungs empty. Full breath in, full breath out. Exhale, hold your breath. Exhale, hold the breath. Exhale, hold. Pull the belly in, tighten the cross of your legs, tilt the hips further forward. I am the sort of person that finds value in self-control. Pull the belly in. When you need to breathe in, take a full breath in and breathe normally. Round 2, for 1 minute, everyone breathe in and out through the mouth. 5, 4, 3, mouths are open. 2, 1, deep inhales, deep exhales, in and out of the mouth. 100% inhale, 100% exhale. Tighten the cross of the legs, tilt the hips further forward. Start to focus on the center line of your body. Like a string that trails directly in front of the spine. As you breathe in and breathe out, feel that your entire torso and abdomen swell and expand symmetrically around this center line. Breathe into your back, breathe into your kidneys, breathe into the left and right side of your body, and as you exhale, everything funnels in. So now apply power to this breath technique. Pull the same amount air in and push the same amount of air out in less time. Struggle. Impose will, impose work, impose energy into your body. 5, 4, 3, 2, full exhale, hold the breath. Exhale, hold the breath. Pull the belly in, tighten the cross of your legs, hips tilt forward. Acidity is building. Resist the mind. When you need to, take a breath in and out through the nose. Now, breath of fire. Fast, rhythmic, shallow breath. Take a full inhale. Hold your breath. Breath of fire starts now. If you're unfamiliar with the technique, just listen to me. But everyone perform the technique at this point. So it's a fast exhale, like you're blowing mucus out of your nostrils. You're only exhaling 5 or 10% of the lungs. Relax the shoulder blades. Critical at this point, tighten the cross of your legs. Squeeze your thighs together. Stabilize the hips and lengthen the rib cage away from the pelvis. And so feel the acceleration of your inhale, the pop, the spark. And try to increase the speed of your exhale, just the exhale. And so in this, you're increasing power. You're mobilizing the diaphragm, mobilizing the abdomen. 1 more minute here. Tuck the chin in slightly, decompress the base of your skull. Straighten the arms, anchor your wrists into your knees, and then pull the heart further forward. Again, tighten the cross of your legs, 30 more seconds. Ten more seconds. Let the body perform the technique. Focus on the absolute center line. A little thread tracing in front of the spine. Pull the shoulder blades down for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Full exhale. Through the mouth, gulp. Big inhale, hold the breath. Build your posture, relax the shoulder blades, straighten the arms, tilt the hips forward, relax the face. Focus on the center line, hold your breath for as long as possible, just feeling sensations arise and dissolve within the body. And consider, as a meditator, you seek trial. You seek restraint. You question pleasure. You question desire. Your intuition is magnetizing you towards this less traveled path. And just appreciate that. That's why you're waking up every morning and doing this right off the bat. And so harness that affinity for struggle and hold your breath for longer than you want to. Reject your thought process more intensely than you usually do and feel. Relax your body and feel. When you need to breathe in and out through the nose. All right, wherever you are. 5, relax the body more. Focus on the center line. 4, repeat Atha in the mind. 3, that means presence. 2, 1, full exhale through the nose. And now finally, after 20 minutes of work, we can finally meditate. Meditation is the absence of effort and the absence of unconsciousness. Just breathe. Feel inside and outside. Be focused and distracted. Be satisfied and dissatisfied. Bring your hands to heart center. Relax your shoulder blades down your back. Meditation is a lightning strike. It happens in a moment, in a flash. Slow down the breath. Feel the tingling sensations of the body. Relax your face. Relax your shoulders. And work towards complete inclusivity. Again, focused and distracted at once. Proud of who you are and ashamed of who you are at once. Here and nowhere. Internalized and externalized. And then if you can, appreciate the broadness of this mentality. Slow down the breath. Impatience and patience. Lean into patience. Slow down the breath. I am all things. Lift your thumb knuckles to third eye center. Press your thumbs firmly into the skin of your forehead. And now, focus completely on that tingling sensation. Struggle versus suffering. Tilt your hips further forward. Slow down your breath. Deepen your focus. That is struggle. It's empowering, but not easy. And suffering is easy, but disempowering. Let's take one more inhale. Deepen your focus as you exhale. Hold your breath, pull your belly into your spine as best you can. Release your wrists to your knees. Really profound posture, feel your strength. And as you inhale, open the eyes, but maintain meditation. I am still meditating. And the last thing I want to seed into your thought process is that eventually the ambition of meditation becomes lifelong, meaning you aim to meditate and stay in hyper-presence for every second of your day, every month, every year. But that'll happen once you become deeply familiar with this experience. So I'm still meditating.